out in Pasadena. He also he was on the float with us. He also sung before the national championship game. Walker, it's great to see you again. How are you?
Paul, Paul, it's so good to see you. Man, it was an honor to meet you that day, but you didn't wave as long as I did. You left the
Well,
float early.
well, Walker, I was being there were cat calls and people were spitting on me, and security
It
wanted me
was,
off that thing as quickly as possible.
hey, it honestly, in my opinion, my humble opinion, you were the biggest celebrity on that float. I was honored to meet you. Sorry, my daughter just knocked
Well, that's
the
okay. Well,
phone down
yeah,
there. I'm
I
sorry.
told this stories to friends, but there was a guy on the float with us from Michigan, and for the life of me, I can't remember his name. He
Yes.
was a pretty famous guy. He was a Broadway actor. He was whatever. He was getting on my nerves. I will confess this on television here. I whispered to Walker, who's a big Alabama fan from South Alabama. I said, Walker, if you'll go along with me, I realize you got a better career trajectory down the road than
Yeah.
I do, but what do you think about us grabbing this guy and throwing him off the float?
I was ready. I was right there with you, and his name was Darren, and I think his biggest role in a show or movie is from a show called Glee.
Yeah, that's the
But
guy.
he was a really nice guy. But I don't know about you, but I felt like he was kind of a bandwagon, like might have been from Michigan, so he put on a blue and gold shirt and just went after it that day. But he was having fun, and I'm with you. It was getting under my skin. I would have thrown him off with you, but
Well, I
he's a
mean, listen, I
super
don't
sweet
think
guy.
Walker, I don't think anything more than a broken leg and maybe a broken neck, but I didn't really care at that point.
Yeah, yeah. It was he was getting a big reaction, and I felt like I don't know about you, but during the parade, I felt like Bama was really outnumbered. Like maybe Bama didn't want to wake up and get outside that early, but it was go big blue everywhere. So I was frustrated
I mean,
too. But
you've done
man,
it all, and in the following week you sung before the CFP. I mean, I can only imagine some of the experiences that you have had in your still fairly young career.
yeah, no, it's amazing. Well, I'm not young, but my career is. But yeah, man, my family and I we love sports, especially college football. So any opportunity we have to be involved, we say yes, and we all go. The whole gang goes. They were at the Rose Bowl parade. They were at the Rose Bowl, and then we did play the championship. We're obviously hoping Bama would have been there, but hey, man, we got to be there as some of Saban's last game, so that was iconic for us.
It is so interesting to talk to you because I mean, you're. I was about to say your life story would make a good film, but I think it is going to be a film, is it not?
Yeah, Paul, my story is amazing, and I mean, it's still being written, and there's many days where I just kind of look up at God and I don't understand, what's going on. But yeah, I mean, my wife and I moved to Nashville in 2004. So Fancy Like just came out 3 years ago. So you can imagine, I mean, the grind for 17, 18 years. And in the meantime, we had 6 kids. I'm 8 years sober. We lost our seventh child. So life has thumped us around quite a bit. So this life is very different, with the success of some music and hanging out with people like Paul Finebaum. I mean, what makes you more royalty, down with my brothers and sisters. When I got to meet you, that was it, man. That's all that mattered. But man, I'm just grateful that I get to put out music now, and I actually have people out there listening, and we'll see what the future holds.
You mentioned your sobriety, and I know your record coming
Yeah,
out is called Sober Thoughts. It's so cliche to ask someone
yeah.
who's a writer because that's what you do. You write about your experiences and relationships. But this is a little bit different than a breakup at a rodeo. I mean, this is pretty serious stuff.
Yeah, it is. And honestly, I didn't ever like say this at the crossroads on the way to here, but I always thought, man, if I ever have the opportunity to sing on stages to thousands of people, I'd love to sing about stuff that matters. And life matters to me. Life is heavy. I'm a recovering alcoholic, will be till the day I die. I actually have a non-alcoholic beer coming out next month with Athletic Brewing Company. So it made sense to release a lot of songs that have to do with addiction, recovery, and my personal struggle with alcohol. And again, that's a headspace that I just live in. Every week, I at least write one song that's in that vein, in that space. And I'm always looking for somebody to help, always looking for somebody to share my story with in hopes that they might feel less alone in that battle. And then also that's just therapeutic for me. You know, as I continue to walk with that struggle, I'm always talking to my kids about it. I'm always talking to my wife about it, where I am, how I'm doing. And I love to be vulnerable. And again, I kind of always said that, you know, and I want to keep that promise. If I ever had an audience, I would not just inundate them with just junk, you know, to try to feed my bank account or anything. I would always try to just sing about things that matter. So sober thoughts, that matters to me, this project coming out and what it talks about.
And Walker, we can't wait to hear it, but I'd be remiss if I didn't offer the dichotomy of your career, because your biggest hit so far is anything but a serious song.
Yeah.
Fancy Like came out a couple years ago, and people are still walking down the street humming it. I want
Yeah.
to take you back to that moment, because I mean, country stars are rarely ever going to cross over, but this one crossed over all over the world. Tell us
It
tell
was
us the backstory.
it was crazy. So I'll just give you the briefest, just the high points here. We're in COVID. I'm sitting at home with my family. My team is probably thinking at this time, Paul, they're probably thinking, you're becoming dadderific. Like there's not a lot of star power going on. You know, you're living in your flannel pants. All I ever see you doing is dad stuff. And honestly, I couldn't help it. I mean, we weren't getting on cool jets. We weren't playing any shows. I really had nothing to brag about. And on the way home from the in-laws one day, we visit an Applebee's. Now, listen, when you got 6 kids, it's tough to please everybody as far as where you're going to eat. But when I said Applebee's that night, when I said you want to go somewhere fancy where you sit down and you have a waiter, my car erupted. Everyone was so excited. And that's where the idea came from. And honestly, Paul, after that, it's overnight. I mean, my daughter, I put the song out on a Friday. I did the dance with her on a Sunday. No expectations, honestly. Had no idea how the world was about to react. And by the end of that week, when we walked into Chick-fil-A as a family, it was like a meet and greet. I mean, people wanted pictures, people wanted autographs. I mean, our life changed overnight.
And I mean, it's amazing. I mean, it's hard. Listen, Nashville is. It's hard to get a song on the charts, let alone at the top of the charts and on
Yeah.
every other chart.
It's a miracle. It's a miracle, and I have the utmost respect. Even if I don't necessarily like someone's music personally and just crank it up and live with it in my car, I have so much respect for anybody that ever has one hit. And like you just said, the country charts, that's miraculous. So especially these people who do it over and over, I'm amazed. But go back to your point, maybe I should write some lighter stuff, man. I mean, maybe that was the trick, not be so serious all the time.
Hey, I got a great idea right about being on the
Yeah.
Paul Finebaum show. That's a #1 hit right
Let's
there.
do it. Let's do it.
And by the way, I made that. I'll tell you off the air one day, but it's too long. But I had that happen to me once, and I think it's actually a good idea, because we'll get behind it and we will play it 15 times an hour to
A
make
day.
sure it gets on the charts.
Let's go. The
So,
Paul Finebaum show. That's it.
so Walker, seriously, the record's coming out. I know it's personal. What's it? I mean, when you do a record like that, you have to get out there. What's your spring and summer look like?
Oh, it's wild. It's crazy. So my family travels with me on the bus. They go everywhere I go. So the bus picks us up every Wednesday night, and we just go across the country and come back on Sunday mornings. I play all these new songs. The non-alcoholic beer with Athletic will be at all of the venues that we play. So spending a lot of time trying to get that as many places as I can. Trying to get it in Brighton Denny. That'd be sick to have a non-alcoholic option available for the fans, down there. But yeah, just promoting that. And I love tour life. That's a very, very special time for me. The rush of hearing the crowd sing AA, Fancy Like, You Broke Up With Me, the hits. it's pretty outstanding. And I wish everybody could get a taste of that. But that's what starts in May, and so that's what we got going on.
Well, I'm just glad because I've run in occasionally into an Alabama fan on tour, but we were in Nashville a couple weeks ago for basketball, and Jordan Davis slapping his gums about
Oh
LSU,
yeah,
and Luke Bryan. I'm sick of hearing him talk about Georgia. So finally, a
I
roll
know.
tider here.
I'm the one and only, man. We are in it. We got Tennessee orange left and right. Every time we play Georgia, somebody
Oh, it's
zip
endless.
ties a flag to our port. So yeah, it's good. That's how I felt when I saw you on that float, man. It was like, ah, my guy, here we go, finally a friend. But yeah, man, roll tide, 100%. It's gonna be an exciting year. Pumped about the basketball. I mean, that's just bonus. So let's go.
Walker, can't wait to do this again. And it
Let's
was
go.
forever in my life. I'll remember not being on the float in the Tournament of Roses parade, but scheming murder with Walker
Right.
Hayes.
Let's do it. Let's
Murder
do
of
it,
a
man.
Michigan
Hey,
fan. I think that would have been a big hit.
that's the song, Murder of a Michigan Fan with Paul. Hey,
You,
man, thanks for having me.
it
You're
was our
so
pleasure.
kind. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Walker Hayes. It's hard to pass.